to the She's a 10 times 5 show with hosts Lori Jabbar and Michelle Emick. We're bringing public figures, subject matter experts, and other accomplished guests to the Studio 50 table to serve you up the best tips, tricks, and key takeaways that all us midlifers want to know about. Okay, time to join us for some times 5 fun. Let's go. Okay, everyone, welcome to She's a 10 Zequad. Nothing? I got nothing. Has it worn out?
Why didn't you add the times 5? She's a 10 times 5.
Well,
maybe
yeah,
we're just she's a 10 today. Like we're all looking.
I think
really,
we're just feeling it. So okay, you guys, we took off a week. We are back, and we have. When I say we have a badass with us today, like if I could times that by 5, I would. So we've got today our usual suspects. We've got Randy Crawdaddy Crawford.
Hey.
We've got Michelle Emick. And we've got one of my pals, and Randy knows her well too, Spring Glover, but do not let the spring fool you. She's a sledgehammer, okay? Yeah, and interestingly enough, everyone who listens and watches our show knows that I am pickleball obsessed, and Randy's right there with me as my wing woman. I actually met Spring on a walk, and I saw her walking towards me, and she looked like a badass. Wait, Spring, you're like what, 5'11"?
5'11" and a half, technically.
Yeah, she's got that height. But the way she was moving, I just knew she was an athlete. And so I walked right up to her, and Spring, I don't know if you remember this. The first thing I said was, do you play pickleball? Yes. I was recruiting. I recruited Spring, and she played with me one time, and she was phenomenal. And then we never saw her again. So there we go.
It's just, thank you for the introduction. No, this is a true story. It's funny. I was new to the neighborhood, and I was like walking the new route, and I see this blonde lady with 2 dogs going down, and then she comes, do you play pickleball? And I was like, yeah, I think, sure. I think I played once or twice before, but when Lori invited me, I had a great time. It was fun.
Yeah, it was good. She kicked ass. Okay, so we are going to talk today about a couple meaty topics that they don't seem to go away, and one's kind of new. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court ruling and the potential ripple effect on reversing affirmative action at Harvard and the University of North Carolina, and what effects it has. And we, in particular, brought Spring to talk about her lens on that. We're going to talk again about the trans activism and how it's affecting sports and women. And then we're going to have a little fun. We're going to take her out on the highway, and we're going to talk about this Barbie blow up. I mean, she's everywhere. On socks, underwear. You can't go anywhere without Barbie. So we're going to talk about Barbie and some of the Barbie missteps that she's had in her historical run. And then we're going to talk about a couple little fun things at the end. So you guys ready? Let's take her out. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's
go.
hit it.
Okay, so if you are leaning into the news, you know that about a week and a half ago, the Supreme Court basically ruled that affirmative action is not constitutional. All right, Spring, I'm going to fire right at you. You tee us off. You tell us what your thoughts are, and then we will weigh in on our thoughts, because I've actually had more than a handful of really good discussions about this. And I think a lot of people look at it surprisingly a lot different. So what do you say about this?
I will start with this, and it's an interesting statistic. And Harvard had affirmative action in place for several years. Their African-American population, are you ready, is 6.6%.
Not surprised.
To me, that's a drop the mic. So with affirmative action, you're still not 10% of the population. So I really, I think it's a tragedy. And I think the other thing too, that a lot of people feel like through affirmative action, your numbers have to be less than others. It's based off your skin color. And that is not correct. You have to have the same SATs as everybody else. You have to have the same GPA as everybody else. You have that, but you will weigh it as we need more of this population here. So out of this pool, we will pull this person, but you still have to qualify. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that a lot of people had with affirmative action. They thought, well, your standards are lower and it's just because you're a person of color that you're in. But even with affirmative action in place, you weren't even at 10%.
Why do you think that is, Spring? I mean, do you think it's that people of color don't want to go to like a Harvard type of institution, or do you think it's something else?
I don't think, well, it's twofold. Harvard has this amazing institution. One of my daughter's teammates is actually attending there in the fall, and I know another family that attends there as well. I'll just bring it to myself. I live in Rancho Santa Fe, which is like 1% African American population in my neighborhood. It is not always comfortable to live in an area where you're the only person that looks like that. My family, when we're walking, as Lori saw, there's there are the Glovers, because there's not very many people walking in my neighborhood that look like me. And so I think with Harvard and things like that, when kids come into this arena, you don't start off in a comfortable position because there's not very many people that look like you. I think it's a very natural thing and a very natural tendency to want to be around people that look like you, that have similar hair than you, that grew up in a very familiar lifestyle that you have. And if you're looking at only your population is 6%, it's a bit intimidating. It's very intimidating. And you have to have a certain thing about you that's like, you know what, I like this area, I like this school, I like what this is going to offer me. I can overcome that.
Okay, I'm going to flip it over to you, Randy. And, you know, I think you and I had a discussion about this. And I'm going to preface this with kind of my lens too. And I have two mixed race boys. Okay, they're half Pakistani and they're half Caucasian. And what's really kind of interesting is when we went to, on both of them, went to apply for colleges, there was no appropriate box to check. So we were left with, do we check Asian? And I'm here to tell you, we did not choose that path because we felt that that would be a significant academic disadvantage. Read between the lines there, right? The one we had to check, or they had to check, was non-Hispanic white. Okay. You tell me your lens on this as someone who has two kids that applied to school and one that has graduated.
You know, this is interesting, Spring, what you just said, because here's where I come at it. First of all, my father went to Columbia. He's from two Italian immigrants who barely spoke English. He was from Attleboro, Massachusetts. He gets to Columbia. He doesn't feel smart enough. He feels like it's all white people, all Jewish people, all people that are way smarter than him, working 24 hours a day. He's like, Randy, I would call my friends from Boston all the time and say, I'm dropping out. I hate it here and I'm not smart enough to be here. So he did not feel like he was with people that were anything like him. And he said, one time a professor pulled him aside and said, Ed, I don't know why you don't participate. You are the smartest person in my class. Education is about knowing how to think, and you're a thinker. So he ends up staying at Columbia and making the dean's list every single year. And it's something that my father is very proud of. And we had a long talk about the affirmative action yesterday. And he said, you know, Randy, I've lived through all of it, through when it wasn't in place, then when they put it in place. And he said, and it really pissed me off when they did put it in place, because I felt like it devalued what I had to do to get in and then to stay in. And then I said, you know, Dad, I've watched a lot. I dive deep before these shows. So I don't just come out here and say, well, I watched this program. I watch a lot of programs and I talk to a lot of people, right? So if you're just at a glance, the immediate gut reaction is affirmative action is discrimination. And I don't think discrimination is ever right, because where do you then draw the line with discrimination? I mean, discrimination then becomes the determining factor. That's how I feel about it. But it's really interesting, Spring, because I was actually at a party, Lori, after I left your house. And I was speaking to one of the guys whose wife not only went to Harvard and has a son at Harvard, but she's one of those people here in, you know, Del Mar, Rancho, whatever, that interviews kids that go to Harvard. And I said to him, well, I'm curious what your wife thinks about this. And he said, Randy, what are you talking about? Every single kid that she interviews, black, white, whatever, they all have to have the same grades, the same test scores. And I said, that's bullshit. That's not that I don't hear that. In fact, I heard Jason Riley, who was a writer for the Wall Street Journal, make a statement, and they did a study that an Asian male who had all the same numbers that checked Asian to get into Harvard, and then he has the exact same scores and he checks that he's black to get into Harvard, he has a 25% chance getting in if he's Asian and a 95% chance getting in if he's black. So I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what the numbers really are. So it's like you hear different things from different people, but I think that that I always go to common sense. So my net on this is that I feel two things. One, you should go to a school that you should be able to get into, and school has gotten really hard today. We used to love to say, God, getting into school is hard. Once you're there, it's a freaking cakewalk. That's not the case anymore. School is really hard. So darn it, if you have the grades and the scores and everything to get into Harvard, like, God bless you. If you're getting in simply because of discrimination and race, I don't agree with that. And I really don't know what the answer is, because I hear different statistics from different people, different news outlets, and different walks of life. I don't, though, in the end, believe that discrimination is ever a good answer. I really don't.
Okay, let me ask you this, and then I'll fling it to you, Michelle, and then Spring, I want you to bring out your sledgehammer again. So is it discrimination? That's my big question. And that's where I struggle, because I look at diversity as something that has to be proactive and it has to be planful. Is that a word? Did I just invent a word, you guys? And so I kind of look at it this way. All things considered equal, okay? And I'll take my boys, for example. Jabbar boy, all things considered equal. And then there's a student, that's applying from Harlem, let's say a black student. I say tip the hat to the black student to give them the opportunity. I don't think that's discrimination when it's all things considered equal. I think it's providing opportunity to a historically repressed racial profile, right? I don't know. Okay, Michelle, you weigh in.
Yeah, I mean, by no means am I the subject matter expert on it, but to me, the numbers don't lie. So if you're telling me that, Spring, you said 6%, there it is. I mean, there you have it. So that's a problem. And when I think of Harvard, it's like it appears very much that, world of elitism. It's the donors. It's the legacy students. It's the athletes that get in. I mean, it never seems like a fair playing field there. So, I mean, when we're looking at that school in particular, but we need diversity. And if the numbers don't lie. So that's really what it comes down to.
Okay, Spring, lay it on me.
I think when you just talked about, so I like to have dinner parties, right? And I like to mix it up. I like to add people from all different types of backgrounds with different everything to make an interesting conversation. I get bored with being with the same people in my neighborhood all the time.
Hey, wait a minute.
Exactly. Hey, I'm ready for an invite.
Yeah, like, wait a minute, Spring.
I like to mix it up. So
Okay.
I guess what I'm saying is, I agree that however you get there, you need to have a diversity in different, it makes your train of thought expand. I'm having a conversation with you three ladies I haven't had. I'm going to think about things a little differently. And I hope you think about things differently after you've spoken to me as well. I don't have a problem with grabbing people from different places and having a conversation. And I may not agree with you, but I'm really big, and this has been a common theme for me, like naturally in my relationships with people. Why can't we all respectfully disagree anymore?
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to have a controversial topic. You may see things different than me, but that's okay. That's how you talk. That's how you grow. That's how things become diverse. So I'm all about mixing it up, and I try to pull from different areas. And there's so many times when I've asked my children to do things and they are uncomfortable. My son in particular, he's 6'9". And when he walks in the building, everybody looks up at him and they ask him, how tall are you? And he's just like, gosh, I don't want everyone to stare at me and stuff. But that's life. And that's how you grow. And that's how you go to be different things. So with this ruling, I was disappointed. But as you saw, the numbers don't lie. It will be interesting in the next 5 to 10 years if that 6% stays or if it continues to go down.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's really what it comes down to. Keep looking at the percentages.
Well, you know, I think what's going to happen nationally with this, you know, as far as a precedent, right? And I don't know. I mean, look, there's a lot of very liberal individuals that I know that are applauding this decision because they feel like their Caucasian kids have been at a disadvantage for a very long time. And I'll just speak for California because we have a UC system that
It's so
is-
disadvantaged.
it's
Sorry.
it's so broke. Wait, what?
No, it's just funny. Like, oh, they think their kids are so disadvantaged.
Well-
Really? They're disadvantaged. They should choose another. That should be a different word. They're
Okay,
by
fair
no
enough.
means
Fair enough. That was worded.
disadvantaged.
What I'm saying is in the college application process. It is a fact. If you live in California and you're like, let's say a white Southern California male, it's really, really hard to get into the Cal State UC systems. Randy, would you agree or not agree?
Well, again, let's go to the numbers, Michelle. The numbers don't lie. Yeah, the UC system is flooded with Asians because California is one of the states that got rid of affirmative action in I want to say 96. So that's the numbers right there. So it's close to impossible.
Yeah. UCLA, I think yeah, the numbers are crazy. And, you know, the other thing, and this is what I'll caveat it to say, and Spring, I think this underscores what you're saying.
Wait, I want to ask on that. So is it what? Is it like there's all black colleges? Is there all black? Is this like an Asian school? No one else can get in. It's 100% Asian kids.
It's very, very Asian heavy for sure. For sure. And
A lot
look,
of kids that get into California schools are athletes.
yeah. Well, and the other thing too, and this is like what I was going to say, and then we'll kind of, if anyone has any hanging chads here, one part of the problem is exactly what Spring said, is we're not having the dialogue, and we're not operating in the gray space. And the problem I had in watching my kids go through the application process was everything was a number. Okay. You are given your GPA, you are given your standardized test scores, you are given what is your zip code. If you live in a different zip code, you might get more points because it's a socioeconomic disadvantage. I mean, everything is a number, and you're not looking at the holistic picture of, and again, a lot of it's volume. I mean, when UCLA, I think, got 168,000 applicants. Am I right in that? I don't know. I may be
There's
off.
a lot.
There's a
Close.
lot.
But then but
Close.
okay, but I agree with you on that, but then who are the people that are looking at those applications if they did change up the process?
I agree with you. I want to know, did you all read all
Yeah.
168 essays?
Yeah. You know, and I think, yeah, so I think there's a lot of, it's kind of a broken system. But I will tell you that I think Harvard probably does read everything because it's a private institution and they have the funding to be able and the resources to do that.
Well, we know that who's ever funding it, their kids are getting in. So let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Well, that's a fact. Yeah.
You got enough scratch. You're getting
Yeah.
to Harvard.
Yeah. So
not-
I'm going to close with this. I'm going to say, I think that the ruling was mixed bag with me because I think the whole thing is broken. If you look at it on a national basis, I think there's a lot of problems. And I would like to see diversity. I think Stanford is one of the institutions that, my husband teaches there on occasion in the business school. It does it right. And it's kind of like all things considered equal. And I'm talking equal, they try to make the pull with diversity. And I think they do it in a very proactive and holistic way. And I think it's worked. Anyway.
That's
All right.
great.
Anyone else? Okay. Let's keep going with the tough stuff. Okay. So let's talk. We've talked multiple times about you can't get out of this transgender. It's in our faces all the time. We just came off of gay pride. So it was a Molotov cocktail of just there it is. And I want to talk about this while we have Spring at the table, because it's something that has been really bothering me. Randy, I know it's bothered you. We've had multiple discussions. Michelle, I think it's been kind of a banana in your tailpipe too. Why aren't women talking about transgender being involved in female sports? Okay. So biological males that have transitioned that are being allowed to compete against biological females. I'm going to start with you again, Spring. What do you think? You have two athletes.
So I'm going to start with this. I was talking to my family and I told them I was coming on here today. And first thing my son said, be careful, Mom. Don't say the wrong thing. You'll get canceled. I said, well, I can't get canceled. I'm not famous. So I don't see the point of me being canceled. But I think that sums it up. I think people are afraid to give their opinions if they're not one way or another, because for myself, I never ever wanted to offend the trans community. I never want to offend the LGBTQIA community. I feel that if you see yourself some way, you should be treated the way that you see yourself. But I have two children. I have two daughters that play competitive sports, that are going to, one's in the collegiate level and one's on her way to the collegiate level. You just said it. Biologically, if you are built one way, your anatomy is different. Your physical makeup, your strength, your muscles, your lung capacity is significantly different than women. I do not feel it's fair for men to compete with women in that, just based off the pure science. And people are afraid to say it because they say, oh, you're offending that community, you hate them. And that's not the case at all. I love if you see yourself some way, you should be treated that way. If that's who you feel you are in your person, that's fine. But I do not feel you should biologically compete against my daughter, because it's not apples for apples. It's not oranges for oranges. It is not the same. Your body type is different. Your physical ability is different than my daughter. Therefore, you cannot, in my opinion, compete with her, because it's not the same.
Okay. I completely concur. As a former athlete, you guys have heard me say it 1,000,001 times, and especially a sport like I was in long distance running. I mean, you guys, like, again, I could win an invitational that's at the national level, but the middle of the pack of the varsity males was 30 seconds faster than me. I mean, it's just physiologically different. So I agree. Okay, Randy, you want to add to anything?
Yeah, I mean, my brain goes all over the map with this. Again, I deep dove on this because it really bothered me for a while that, if you're born with the XY chromosome at puberty, you get testosterone. And just to keep it simple, everything gets bigger, from your feet to your hands, to your heart, to your lungs, to everything, your throat, all of it. I was thinking about girls, and this is where it really started to be a thorn in my side. When we go through puberty and we get our estrogen and our hips get bigger, and then we get crampy and bloated, and we get our periods and our boobs grow, and that's painful, and all this stuff that girls go through at puberty. And all the while, they're still competing. And so if you have, and when we first addressed this, I think everyone was so careful with their words. And I remember I kept saying, but why is Riley Gaines the only one talking about this? And here we are, like a month later, and all the research deep dives I do on this, Riley Gaines is still at the forefront of this movement. And now you actually have Megan Rapinoe, who I was asking about. She actually said this, I wrote it down, trying to legislate away people's full humanity. She said she would accept a transgender woman replacing a biological female on the team. And that, she said that when you have the argument against that, she sees that as transphobic. And you know what? I can't be canceled. I am not cancelable. That's a bunch of bullshit. Okay. It's not transphobic to say men have an advantage. Why do we turn on the TV every single day and see that a trans won a volleyball, a trans won a bike across France, a trans won swim meet, a trans won, some running, a trans won an Ironman. Now in the Netherlands, a trans beat out a beauty contestant. And I'm like, I look at the picture of the two, and let's just say the runner-up was a smoke show. The girl was gorgeous. And I thought to myself, did she totally, what happened? what happened here? Like, how are we being replaced? And then I go back to women. And women, we never want to offend people. We always just kind of want to walk on eggshells because it's in our nature. But if we keep being in our nature and not saying how we feel, you know, I feel very worried for the future of women's sports. And you've got Martina Navratilova, who they say, like, for all the clickbait, oh, her big words against Megan Rapinoe. You know what she wrote? Yikes. Yikes. Come on, Martina, get out there and stand next to this young Riley Gaines, who is she's today testifying in front of the Judiciary Committee for Women and Women's Rights, because it's not just in the pool and in the gym and on the field, it's in the locker room, it's everywhere. So somebody needs to stand up and say, listen, maybe it's not right, and maybe we need to find something, but right now, like, a biological gone through puberty male has an advantage over a biological female. And that is just a fact.
Yeah. I know we had the discussion, you know, what are they going to do? I mean, are they, you know, we get to the point where, okay, so do we allow biological females that are participating at a high level? Do we allow them to dope, you know, because they need their advantage? I mean, it's a very, very slippery slope. And the thing that and then Michelle, I want you to kind of weigh in. The thing that really gets me going is we've worked really hard as women. And I mean, gosh, Spring, you were an athlete. I was an athlete. And I kind of sit back as someone who I don't have competitive athletes. My boys are just, you know, your normal run of the mill college students, right? But by golly, if I was throwing my daughter in the pool at 5 a.m., I'm waking up with my coffee and I'm taking her and she's doing her work. And then, of course, after school, she's doing her work again. And I'm part of that journey too. You know, gosh, I'd be really salty, you know, if it came down to, and I don't care if it's just one. If it's just one, because it sets the tone for a lot of other things, and it sets the tone for marketing initiatives. And it's like we start accommodating so many different things when, like Spring said, science is science. All right, Michelle, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking when you guys were talking about being canceled, I'm like, well, I guess I could be canceled with the platform that I have, and we have supported and we've put out there, you know, highlighted trans women and so forth, but it makes me sad. It makes me angry as a former athlete myself. I just don't understand how this is okay. I do agree, you guys, you know, Spring, you said it, and Randy, you said it too. I mean, I do think so many women live in fear to speak out of being canceled. I think that they are, you know, we are kind of in that, we don't want to hurt feelings and so forth, but this is one that we can't sit back on. And it just, it's disgusting to me. I just don't understand, like, why, like, speak up. It doesn't mean that we're not hateful people. We just want to do what's right. And it's not biologically, you can't compare the two. So I think that, and I think there are a lot of people that speak out, aside from the Martina Navratilova, I think there was a few athletes that spoke out, but most people, I have to ask, have you ever played sports? Have you ever competed at that level? Because if you have, I just can't believe that you would be okay with this. It doesn't make any sense to me. When I always look at things from a common sense standpoint, I'm like, there is no way, Lori, just like you said, if you had a daughter, I remember getting up 5 a.m. and being in the pool, I couldn't compete against a man. There's no way. And so it's like, I have to ask, like, have you ever played sports? Because it doesn't make sense. And that's where I always kind of, my baseline is like, does this make sense? And this one does not.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to end on you, Spring. So one of the things that, you know, going back to being a woman, and we worked again. I feel like I've worked really hard to have a place at the table, a voice, and accomplishments, and got to graduate college and all those good things. Like, I feel like we're scared as women to say this trend that's happening, and I think it's more than just the competitive nature. I think what I'm starting to see is a lot of opportunities with women that are being taken away because we're we're knee jerking and course correcting for such a small population, but we're trying to be so politically correct. And not to affront anyone. Randy, you and I've talked about this. Everyone should be included, and I am down with that. Like, move over. I'll make room for as many other seats as need to be at the table for people that have earned them. But when you start to kind of collapse things and take away opportunities, that's where I start to get really worried. Like, you know, we need to stand up and try to save what we've worked hard for. All right, Spring, you got anything else you want to say on this?
Oh, and it's interesting because as you all talked about it, a life of an athlete, especially a female athlete, it's tough, right? Like you said, you have your biological stuff, you have your periods and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I'm up with my girls at 5 a.m. They are doing their homework before they do. Then they go to practice. Then they get in the cold pool. Then they do PT. Then you have to do your work. They work really, really hard. And it's not for the faint of heart. That's why it's so funny when people are like, oh, athletes, this and that, they want all these accolades. If you look at the time that they spend, and to be good at your craft, you have to work extremely hard at it. And women especially have to, because of our physical makeup, our biological makeup, we have to do things a little differently than men. So it's just like that saying goes, you just like put respect on our names, man. Like, give us the respect that we deserve. Compete on your platform that with women that are built like us and have the same nature, and then you complete on your cap. And it's sad when someone does label you transphobic, that you can get all kinds of crazy tweets and all kinds of stuff. That was one person's opinion. You didn't listen to the 15 minutes of other things that I said, how I justified what I was saying, how my daughter felt about that. They didn't say that. You never hear the part where I accept everybody and they can do that. All you heard was this one part. You're transphobic, and then people spew all kinds of hate at you. And I think until our culture starts to be a little bit more accepting, maybe you'll have more women that will speak out, more young women that are brave enough to do it, because they say, oh, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to say anything, because you don't want people to get upset. So hopefully
Yeah,
it will get
I
better.
was gonna say, well, I talk about this all the time on here, but it's the sound bite. It's that sound bite that comes out and then everybody explodes. And then it's like, whoop, canceled, before they really understand the whole picture of the story, or sitting down and having this conversation.
Yeah, that's a fact. I mean, it really is. You know, Spring, one thing that's really interesting is we work on the Title IX. Remember, you were part of that whole Title IX initiative. And I've been really surprised that they have an opportunity and a platform, and they've got legislative backing to really kind of help guide us on this. And they have been so fucking quiet, and I don't understand why. Billie Jean, where are you? But here's the great news. One thing I did learn through working with the King organization and the Title IX and then the Women's Sports Foundation is I think it's 80% of C-suite seats that are occupied by women or former collegiate athletes. So there you go.
Yeah,
because of exactly what you said, how friggin' hard they work and how they can manage multiple things. So I would hire a female athlete again and again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. And Spring, thank you for your honesty. And you're such a respectful person. I appreciate it. And I thought what you said, what everyone says was just really, really great. So, and I think we need to keep revisiting this until we get it right. So, okay, we're going to have a little fun with Barbie. Okay. And Randy, you're going to love this. I already showed Michelle. I got a collection of Barbies, so I got an interesting story. I got 5 of them here, and some of them are quite large and valuable that I've had. Okay. This is the Barbie dream. She's worth the most, but I had an opportunity, don't hate me, to go to the Oscars. It was the second date I had with my husband, and he had no idea that one of the things that I had was on my bucket list of if I can only do this, and it happened to be with my mom, go to the Oscars. It was our deal. So he called me after our first date and said, what are you doing on Sunday, the yada yada? And I said, well, nothing, it's Sunday. He goes, would you like to go to the Oscars? There
I didn't even know this story.
Yep. Yep. And what's funnier is I thought, that was back before cell phones. It was back before anything. And so I told my coworkers, I said, hey, I'm going to the Oscars. They're like, screw you. You're not going there. They thought, me, my personality, they all thought I was pulling their leg. I go, no, I'm seriously going to the Oscars. And I thought for sure it'd be, nosebleed seats. We got bumped up because one of the more VIP executives that was invited got like the bubonic plague in Panama. And so we were 10th row center. And guess what? First award of the night. Back then it used to be one of those bogus awards, like that no one cared about. It was costume. No offense to costumers, but we really want the actors, right? And she sat right next to me. So guess where the cameras were in the very first 5 minutes of the programming? Oh, hey, on low jabs.
What were you wearing? What were you wearing?
I was wearing Dolce & Gabbana, thank you very much, off the rack, because I didn't have a lot of money then. I still don't, buy those expensive couture stuff, but it was a great time. But in the process of going to the Oscars, I met the CEO of Mattel, and he sent me a bunch of Barbies, and all he sent was a note that said, don't ever open these. So I haven't. They sit in my closet.
That's why you have those Barbies? That's
Yes,
the coolest
ma'am.
story.
Yeah.
I know
so
she showed me before we went on, and I was like, I didn't peg you for a Barbie girl, or I don't know where. And then she's like, I got a story. So that's a good one.
Yeah, it is a good one. So I have all these Barbies, and like literally a whole closet full of Barbies. I've given a few away, but I've been kind of greedy with them in the hopes that maybe I'll have a granddaughter someday. So let's talk. So the Barbie movie's coming out. She's everywhere. Ken is everywhere. I don't know what to make of it, because I actually like Barbie. I mean, I did used to play with Barbies. I had all the gadgets and the accoutrements. But what do you guys think about Barbie? And Randy, I'm gonna start with you, and then let's talk a little like Barbie stepping shit along the way.
Okay, I love Barbie. I cannot wait to watch the Barbie movie. And I think that the marketing that they're doing for Barbie is so freaking dialed. You've got this gal, she's wearing all of Barbie's outfits. It's freaking cool. I'm kind of obsessed. But okay, why don't I go through some of these things she's been plagued with, because it's kind of funny. So, Barbie came out in 1959. They all told this lady who developed her, nobody will want to play with a doll with boobs. She said, you're wrong. Barbie started getting really popular. So by 1963, the feminists were out in full force then. They were very upset about Barbie, her curves, and everything else. Then you had, and I'm just going to give you a few of these that kind of caught my attention that were kind of cringe. You had Oreo Barbie, which was an African-American Barbie dressed up as an Oreo holding an Oreo purse. You had
I saw that one. Wait, okay, Spring, did you know that there was an Oreo Barbie?
No, I did not know there was an
No,
Oreo.
you have to Google it. It's
God.
literally
cringe.
a light-skinned black Barbie. She's gorgeous, but she's Oreo Barbie, and she has an Oreo crossover bag.
I'm sorry, I can laugh at my age, but oh wow, no, I didn't know that. I love Barbie too. I have a Barbie story. I was always a tomboy. I play a lot of sports. I was always climbing trees and hanging out with the boys across the street. And so for Christmas, my mother bought me the RV, the Barbie RV.
Yeah.
And I played for it with a couple of days. And then we had this hill down our street. I got on the hill and I rode the Barbie RV down the street. So the Barbie RV became my little like car, kind of, sort of. I wasn't like daintily playing with my Barbie.
Yeah.
I was riding it down the street.
Wait, so how big is the RV? You mean you actually sat on the RV?
I was little. My feet were
Okay.
hanging out. Of course, you have to put your feet up and everything. No, I mean, I was small. And
All right. I
Yeah.
love that. That's a
think
great
that's
story.
funny because I was
Oh
saying
my
the Barbies that I had, and even with my daughter having them, they all were missing limbs. The hair was shaved, like there's makeup and stuff. I was like, they were destroyed. Those ones
Yeah.
I don't know what.
We always had,
what that meant.
you had to cut their hair because, like, why not? Okay, keep going with your
Okay.
Barbie.
All right, here's another fun one. Slumber Party Barbie, who came with a pink bathroom scale that was set to 110 pounds and a book that she was reading called How to Lose Weight. And then it said ... don't eat. So she was kind of destructive. You had giving birth Barbie, who was 9 months pregnant. She's disgusting. Have you guys seen her giving birth
I
Barbie?
saw giving birth
Oh.
Barbie. Yeah, I can't.
Her stomach is showing like the baby in her belly. That one's kind of cringe.
Well, no, and not just that. You can lift her top and you can take out the baby.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's really
Yeah.
creepy.
that's cringe.
That's creepy.
That was pregnant Midge. Another one is that when they started having the talking Barbies, that caused a lot of controversy because she would always say things like, do you have a crush on anyone? Or I'm not good at math. Can the boys help me? Can Ken help me? You know, like math class is tough. Things like that. So that really, you know, upset the feminists. And you guys, this is the one that threw me the most. Have you actually heard the words to the song, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world? You can brush my hair, take me anywhere, and like get me undressed. These are the words, like undress me anywhere. Yeah. Have you listened to the words of the Barbie words? She's a little hoe.
She's a little, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her little sister, who was a little sister? Skipper?
Well, okay, so a woman started the company, but I have to believe that this company, if you're sitting in the boardroom, it's probably a bunch of men, right? I mean, the scale.
Back
And-
then,
Michelle,
yeah.
the men were initially opposed to a doll with breasts. The men initially told her, this will never sell.
Right, but then once they realized it sold and how much money it made, they then took that on and created all of this other craziness.
Yeah.
Randy, do you know the real human dimensions? If you were a real life Barbie, what your dimensions would be as an adult?
No, I haven't looked up her dimensions. Would you like me to?
I mean, I think it was something like your waist is ridiculous. It was, I guess, the dimensions of like for Barbie, for like a real adult are, I mean,
Yeah. You're probably like 6 foot, like a 22 waist, double D boobs. I can
Okay,
only
here it
imagine.
is. She's 5'9", has a 39-inch bust, an 18-inch waist, 33-inch hips, and a size 3 shoe.
Oh,
Size 3 shoe. Well, yeah, the feet. That's what they're talking about. Like the way that Margot Robbie has perfected the foot angles and stuff is a sight. So I'll probably have to go see it. Okay, I'm gonna bring up. I have an expression, Spring. I call it. I'm pulling the pin out of the grenade and rolling it in. I'm gonna do that right now.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going. You guys, there's a Down syndrome Barbie. Okay. For the life of me, I don't get this one. Not that I don't think we should have dolls with the likeness of whatever kids want to play with. I am down for that. The issue I have with this one is this Barbie like looks different and has ankle braces. I don't know, like leg braces. And I don't know why we would do that, because
well, I feel differently on that. Like, I think that's a good thing because if I was a child that wanted to play with dolls, I think it's nice to find a doll that looks like me. So,
but okay, let me ask you this. Okay, skin color is one thing, but like, do you think a Down syndrome child knows they look different? I kind of hope no.
I feel like they would. Yeah, I feel like they would. I mean, there's kids probably
Ah.
play Barbies until they're 10 or 11. So I think that I applaud Mattel. I know they've been a mess and done all things, but I think it is good that they have, diversified. And I will say that one of the things that I have a little Barbie story. I was taking my daughter to the store she wanted Barbies, and she was picking up Barbies with different skin color and different size. And I loved it. It made me so excited because I didn't tell her what Barbies to pick. I was like, you can go ahead and pick out a couple Barbies. And she just went right to and I was like, yay. Like I didn't tell her, but inside I was like so happy because I was like, that's the world we live in now. And
But that's the thing I'm trying to say is that I don't think kids today, and Spring, this is a great one for you to weigh in. I don't think most kids think about it the way we think about it. I think diversity is very natural to them in some respects. I think we make it a bigger thing, which is why I'm going to go back to, I don't know, like, are we trying too hard to like, I just think that you want diversity, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about the
I
Down
would
syndrome
say
Barbie.
I would say for my girls, like especially they weren't big Barbie girls, they were huge American Girl dolls.
Oh yeah.
It was all American Girl dolls. And they always, whenever
Pricey.
they had their parties with their friends, all their white friends, they always brought their dolls that looked like them.
Yeah.
And then they had all kinds of diverse dolls at home, but it was always nice for them to say, okay, everyone, this is what I look like. This is what's beautiful to me. So I have to agree with Michelle. Like, I like the fact that sometimes you find something that will identify with you, and that brings a comfort to certain people.
Okay. Randy, what say thee?
Well, you know me, you know I had to go watch some videos to see like what kids with, disabilities or whatnot thought of this Barbie. And I mean, I think to answer your question, they do know that they look different and that they are different. And they really loved this doll. And so for me, I know you and I talked about it at first, and I immediately had the same reaction I have right now. So I think I'm pro Down syndrome Barbie. She looks a little different, and the kids know that they look a little different. And I don't know why they ended up putting the brace on her legs and all that. I mean, they kind of went far with this, but she's not 5'9". She probably represents 5'5", which I'm not even there yet. So,
Yeah.
but I like her.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
do
know,
they have
the one-
short Barbie? How about that one?
I know no Barbie looks like me. So there's that.
Well, you know what they did that I really did like with this particular Barbie was they made it very symbolic. I think they used the colors of the Down syndrome organization and butterflies and stuff. I think that is way cool. I think when you can raise awareness through stuff like that, I think it's always good for kids to get that early on, right?
Yeah, I can't wait to see the movie. I mean, I think it's gonna be. It looks fun.
Well, I love him. Let's just we didn't talk about Ken, but he's a hottie.
Love
Yeah,
Ryan
it's
Gosling,
Ken
always
was
one of my
that was
favorites.
it, right? Just Ken. There's no other dude, so it's just him. And then
Wait,
was it
yeah.
Skipper?
So Spring, do they have a Ken of color or no?
Can't think of a kin of color. I'm sure they have one. Yeah,
Okay.
but I cannot think as a kid ever seeing a kin of color. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
I don't
seeing
recall
black
that either.
Barbies, but I don't, but I'm sure they have one. I'm confident they have one, but I just, no.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go Barbie. And now we're
There's
gonna
a lot of Kens of color.
Okay,
And they've
good.
got 6-packs.
Mhm.
Yeah, lots.
Lots. Okay.
Lots.
Good.
Gotta have the 6-pack, right?
Got it.
No Ken dad bods.
Yeah, okay, that's the other thing. Do they have different sized the men Barbies? Like ones with a stomach, like a little heavier set? Like do they gone that
I'm
route?
not seeing that, Michelle. I'm
Well,
seeing
hey,
hot Ken
the-
dolls.
listen, I mean, come on.
Like beer gut Ken and
Yeah.
the neighbor next door
Dad
Ken.
bod
Right,
kin.
where are those ones?
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality, right?
That's right.
Balding Ken, you know?
18-inch waist. Get
They
out of
even
here.
said
we got
Ryan
the
Gosling was a
comb
bit
over
old to
Ken.
play Ken.
Comb over Ken, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a bit of controversy with the movie, though. They said Ryan
Oh.
Gosling was a bit old to play the character,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't think that was fair. I think he's quite good looking.
yeah.
Yeah, he is good looking. And he seems like he would be very whimsical at times. Isn't that what you want from Ken? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't want someone really serious. Okay, I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I have to bring this up because this is crazy to me. Someone sent me, I think they sent it in our group, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, Michelle. There was a global study about Spring, we can take this out, but I just have to mention it because I was just thinking of Ken and the different sizes.
You're
They
scaring me.
actually did a global study of the average penis size per country. That's a fact.
Is what?
And it won't surprise it. That's a fact. It will surprise you that France was in the top 10.
Okay.
And I think the US, the average penis size was like it didn't show.
I don't
well.
think we made the top 50.
No, we did not. We did not. I think Uganda was number 1. But here's my problem. Let's go back to Ken and all the different sizes. Like, we can't solve cancer, but we have enough resources to, like, do we really care what the average penis size is per country? Can we put those resources to better use? I don't know.
Yes.
Mattel,
Yeah,
you know,
I don't know why you would do that study, but I mean, I don't know.
well,
Some
it's
married
obviously
person, I don't-
important to somebody.
It's important to lots of people, obviously,
You're,
because they publicized it.
oh, you're not going to find me in Cambodia if I'm single. It's not happening.
What was
Well,
number one?
I think it was Uganda, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think
Who are the
so.
top 5?
I don't remember because they
I
were very obscure countries. I just remember our shock with France being so high up there.
Yeah, France was,
And
I think, in the top
England-
4,
I
right?
want, okay, let's come, I want details
They
on
have
this.
they,
Because I want
France
details
has
on it.
hey, the baguettes was inspired by something we did not know.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Let's just put it this way. Cambodia has, they got bigger issues to deal with. Okay, this is bad. Let's talk Dave Portnoy. Okay, you guys know I'm obsessed. One bite, everyone knows the rules. The guy is a marketing genius. He doesn't give a fuck. So talk about cancel culture. He really, like, he's in a position. I want to be him. Like, he's in the position financially and comfortable enough in his own skin. Like, you can cancel him 20,000 times. He doesn't care. So I thought, and Michelle, you and I talked about this. I thought it was so great. He actually did a video because he's from Boston. Boston. You listen to him and you know that he's from Boston. He's got a very strong Southie accent. And he talked about Tom Brady and the the rumor that he was dating Kim Kardashian. Did anyone see that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you see it? Okay, so I want your thoughts, thumbs up, thumbs down, really quick, and then we'll close this bad boy out. I actually loved it. Okay, Randy, did you think it was out of pocket with Kim Kardashian and uncool, or what were your thoughts there?
No, I loved it. I loved it. And he gave me a terrible visual of Tom Brady sitting at the, Kris Jenner table being kind of like puppeted and told him what to do. Like the minute he said that, I was like, you're right. That would be terrible. I love Dave.
Yeah. What'd you think, Spring?
I heard that is false. They had a brief interaction, and he actually went more his speed, which is Emily Ratajkowski, the gorgeous model from Palais. Yeah. That's actually who he hooked up with, which I think is more in line with Tom Brady, right? He loves his models. He likes the tall, thin. I don't see him.
Well, he's gotten very thin.
She's short.
She's got a junk in the trunk too. I mean, she's got a
That's
booty
not typically his body type. If you look
Yeah.
at his history of Tom Brady, all the women that he dates all kind of have like model type figures. And so people that were there or whatever, I wasn't there, so I don't know for a fact, but they say that he briefly spoke to Kim, moved on, but he actually hooked up with Emily something.
Yeah, Emily the alphabet. I have a hard time with her name too. He's gotten really thin. Speaking of his type, I don't know if you've seen him. I follow him on Instagram. He's gotten really thin.
Well, he doesn't have to lift as much, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he doesn't have to lift and work out as much as he did. He's retired now, so he can truly just eat healthy and run and do cardio and stuff. He doesn't have to lift to get big anymore. You'll find most retired players lose weight. They don't have to work out at the same level that they did. Gronk did the same thing.
Yeah. Well, you know a thing or two about that, right?
A little bit.
Little bit. Little secret. Spring. Okay, Michelle, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like some big Kardashian fan, but I don't know. I think it's kind of mean and obnoxious. But I mean, that's his shtick. I know you love him. I mean, I guess we can get a little laugh out of the things he says, but at the end of the day, I don't know. We're just such this culture of obsessed. Like, I don't know if you guys saw this. I saw it in my limited time I spend on social media. The thing about Jonah Hill and did you see all this? Like his girlfriend, and she put out all these texts, and I'm like, wow, we just live in this crazy world, and everybody's commenting. Like people are giving their 2 cents about the relationship, and I'm like, people need to like worry about themselves. I don't know. Just a lot.
You know what? I think that people that make public or share personal conversations, I think that's so wrong.
That's like next level low. Can you imagine for the world, like somebody screenshotting a private message? Yeah. And again, like all these people are commenting about it, like weighing in. And I'm like, wow, like, are we this is the world we live in where people like, it's all over social media. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
I've had that done to me, and
That's dirty.
it's normally out of context, and it's really unfair, and you can't give any of that shit oxygen. I think that's
yeah,
um
agreed.
okay, so
Yeah.
this leads right into threads. She's a 10, hopped on threads. Is it thread or threads? Is it
I think it's
singular?
Threads.
Yeah. Well, I'm just here to tell you, I think I'm just going to give my 2 cents that I think it is a big fat waste of time. I've tried, I can't. So, if you follow us, sorry, because we're not going to be posting a lot. I feel like it's a desperate attempt for people that have a mediocre following that think this is their second chance. And
Shot.
and
Yeah.
I've talked to like a couple social media experts in there, and the encouragement is get on it because it is your second chance. It's like a land grab. But I feel like we're watching grown adults so desperate that they're literally posting like, hey, what are you having for breakfast? Like, are we back to that again? Oh my God.
That's exactly how I felt when I saw it. I was like, no, not another one.
Yeah,
We
no.
can't. And I was like, no, I draw the line. Like, I'm
Yeah.
already coming off of cutting out all this stuff. The last thing I want to do is add another layer. And then here we go again. I don't care what people are eating. I don't care what, the conversation you have with your dog. Like, I just don't.
Yeah. I know. I got a little salty and I posted, guess what I'm reading for book club? Welcome to Friends. Anyway, all right. And then the other thing is that you guys have talked about, I think there's something weird that's going on between the people on Threads and Instagram, because we've had some wonky things happen on our Instagram. So I don't know. I'm just, anyone want to give Threads a thumbs up? I mean, they've got 100 million plus. So I don't know. Anyway, we all need to just go in our holes, just twiddle
Start
our.
having conversations with our friends and family.
Yeah.
And,
Well, Michelle, you know that the first day that Lori sent in the group text, hey, I have an idea. And now that Threads is out, we can do X, Y, Z. And my reaction was visceral.
I gave you,
That's not what I said.
Randy. I was like, yes.
I said on social media. I didn't specifically say.
No, you did specifically say Threads. Go look at your thread. And I specifically read that and got pissed. And I said, no, thank you. Like, not today, Satan. I am not going down another rabbit hole and another freaking social media site. You people can suck it. No.
I'm with you, Randy. Exactly. Nope, not doing it. No bueno.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I've seen the light, and it's the other people. It's like, I just feel like I'm 54. You guys get a life. Like, it's desperate and pathetic. And I felt like I needed to take a shower, that I was even leaning in for a nanosecond on some of this shit. It's just,
I mean, I get it. It's like, we have a social platform. So, I mean, in that sense, I get it. Everyone is looking for visibility to grow. So it makes sense, but at what expense? Like, unless you have like somebody that you can afford to pay full time to handle your socials, that's one thing. But most people don't. And I have realized this in the last 2 years, having a publishing a media company. It's like everyone on there is just trying to climb. And I hope people, I see it more than I ever have. And I learned it for myself to be like, take a step back.
Yeah. Okay. I think we did well, you guys. We went a little longer than we normally went because I took us on a couple detours. Okay, let's end on this. Spring, I don't know if you have something in your hip pocket that you'd like to share. I thought it'd be really cool. And yeah, Randy, I'm going to put her on Threads. I'm kidding.
I don't care. Go for it.
This bitch is going to monkey jump me later. I thought it'd be really cool because I saw someone do it, and it was actually in a book I read, life lessons, and it was her mom's life lessons. And I thought they were really cool. And I go, God, what are my rules to live by? So I thought we can end on, you guys, do you have a rule to live by to leave the audience?
Yeah, I'll start, and it's going to go right off of what Michelle brought up. I was going to say this, and then the Jonah Hill thing happened. But one rule I live by is, if you don't want it out there and you don't want anyone else to hear it and you don't feel good about saying it, do not put it in writing.
Yeah. And if you're going to take pictures, make sure that they're below the neck. I tell my kids that all the time. Dude, if I know you get in the moment, make sure it's below the neck. Okay, here's mine. Well, I love this one. See if you guys like it. Never miss an opportunity to compliment a woman. Because as a woman, they love our compliments more than they love men's compliments, whether it's you look great in that blouse or your hair looks fantastic or God, your eyes or whatever it is. You have the most beautiful smile. Always take it, because I'm telling you that when people have done, like I've had a couple random people do that to me lately, and it's really been a pick me up. Michelle, do you have one?
Yeah, I mean, mine's probably a little bit, just a bit more, I don't know, normal, but I think it's mine is the rule to live by is just be yourself. You know, we all spend so many, I think people, especially when you're younger, you're trying to impress this person or this, just be yourself, you know, and that's what makes broke around. We're all different. Be weird. That's cool, you know, and
Well, you do good at that, Michelle. Keep being yourself.
Yeah.
Spring, you got one for us?
I would just say one of the rules I always live by is be the person. I try to be the person that I want to have a conversation with. So I try to be kind to others, and give people grace. You never know what people are going through, and I just always appreciate a good conversation. So yeah, that's one of my rules, and I tell my children too. You know, just give out good energy and see if you get it back, and if not, just close the door and move on. But I just think it's important to just, you know, put yourself out there and be kind.
Huge applause for you, Spring. I know we kept you longer than what we promised. You had some great points, and we love you. Thank you for coming.
having me. It's funny. This is my first podcast, so.
Yeah. All right. We're going intergalactic, babe. And Barbie,
yeah.
watch out. Watch out. We're taking, I'm in
Thanks
the
for having
pink
me.
box.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll catch you next week. Adios. Follow us on Instagram at She's a 10 times 5. You can click on the link in our bio to listen to all of our previous episodes, as well as check out our live video interviews over our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, pretty much wherever else you decide to listen to your favorite podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe.